Hello, I'm Bood and welcome to episode 23, year 23 of my Journeyman series, The Road to Anywhere. As always, thanks for joining me for another episode. 23 weeks on the run. Most of you have followed this story, so thank you very much. I mean, I've said this before, but I didn't think anyone was going to like this, and here we are 23 weeks later, 23 years into a save, multiple clubs, multiple trophies, ups and downs. Yeah, thank you. Honestly, thank you. Make sure that if you do enjoy it, you smash the like button. It helps the episode, helps my channel grow. Also, if you want to help the channel out a little bit more, you can pledge to my Patreon. You'll find a link down below. As a thank you, I'm going to make you, my patrons, part of my FM20 main series. Right, well, here we are. We're still obviously in Holland. It's year 2 with FC20. Year 1 was okay. Obviously, it was a new league. All the teams needed staff and managers, and it had to bed down, and it was quite random, really. Random teams won it. We did okay, but obviously I think we did okay because they had good staff, brought in some good players, a little Brazilian group, and I wanted to build on that this year. Challenge for a title, maybe win a cup, and do okay in Europe. They were the targets, but it was going to be tough, but it was going to be fun. And as always, I've really enjoyed this. I've enjoyed Holland, and I've enjoyed playing this week. So it's been tough though, I've had a lot on this week. Whereas now I've got 17 days off work. Hey, you having some of that? I'm not going anywhere. But hopefully a lot of time to play Football Manager. I might even be able to do a few extra videos here and there. We'll see how that all goes. But for now it's all about FC20 and the road to anywhere. Episode 23. Let's get into it. We're going to start here, and it's the 19th of July. I've done most of my transfers now, and we're going to have a look through the team report, look at the squad depth, and I'll talk about the ins and outs. Now, you might remember also when the league started, each team got generated some players, and we had a very good right winger who signed a new deal, thankfully. You'll look at him in a minute. And we had a brilliant goalkeeper at North who wouldn't sign a deal. He's left to join PSV. I might have talked about that in the last episode, so I was gutted about it. But we're not the only team that's had good players generated on one-year deals who didn't want to stay, so we've been able to get some players in. I got my book out and I planned this because I wanted, obviously in Holland we can have as many foreigners as we want, but in Europe you need to be clever, so I wanted to try and maximise my spaces as much as possible, try and find the best players as I can and get that right balance for Europe, and I wanted to maybe get a few more Brazilians, but it's going to be tough because I needed 2 new goalkeepers. We needed a centre half, we needed a few extra players here and there, a left winger, possible backup striker. But like I said in the last episode, you can go to Brazil, get players because they're cheap and the wages are low and they're fantastic. But as soon as they've had a year in the shop window in Europe, other clubs come calling. Not only that, I got in there last year, like I always do, and built my staff. So as soon as I built that staff, they're great. And then this year, PSV, Ajax, Feyenoord have all been trying to steal my staff. So I've had a lot to do, so should we see what I've been up to? It's been fun. Now when it came to the staff, I managed to expand it a little bit. We only lost a couple, so even though Ajax and PSV are bigger clubs, I offered the guys that I wanted to keep higher deals and they accepted. I've lost 1 or 2, but I wasn't that bothered because now we've got a bit of a bigger reputation because we're in Europe. I was able to replace them with better staff members anyway, and weirdly, I always go through each position what I want staff-wise. I mean, in a perfect world, I like 3 goalkeeper coaches, I like 3 fitness coaches, I like multiple technical coaches, an attack, a defence, a mental and a tactical. That's what I like. But I can't have that yet here. But when I was putting in specifics for coaches, O'Higgins staff were coming up, and I had some really good staff at O'Higgins, so I signed a couple of them. Not because of O'Higgins, but because they're the best at what they do. So, staff-wise, coach team, the best in the league. One of those guys was Wellington, Brazilian I had at O'Higgins, so he's now come to be my goalkeeping coach instead, and he's brilliant. This is like a double upgrade on what we had already, so yeah, I mean, this is just an example of how I've improved the staff, and I have improved it. We've got a really good staff now. It's small, it's compact, but it's really good. Here we are with Patrick North, the goalkeeper that's left to join PSV on a free. That rhymes. Great all-round goalkeeper. I was gutted. Look how much he's worth. We've basically missed out on £18.5 million, haven't we? But it's fine because I think I've found some good goalkeepers. Now you might remember as well that a couple of years ago, in-game, I spent half a day in real life putting together all them Wonder Kid lists from each different country. Just to say to you, look how many Wonder Kids there are. There's millions, right? But one thing I said was, out of thousands of Wonder Kids that I found, I didn't find one. Not one goalkeeper Wonder Kid. Well, I have now. This is my new team and it's looking pretty good. And his name is Sam Arthur. He's on loan from Liverpool, so he's not ours, but he's a Wonder Kid goalkeeper. Now, I brought him in after I'd already brought in 2 goalkeepers, but just because he's a Wonder Kid, and I thought, he's the first Wonder Kid goalkeeper I've seen in about 15 years. Let's have him. So we've got 3 goalkeepers. I've got another one on loan because he is Dutch. I've got him on loan from Paris Saint-Germain. Great prospect, great young goalkeeper. Got him in for the European squad, basically. And then I found this guy, Colombian. He's only worth 5 million, but I think he's really good. 28 years old. Now, they're all pretty similar, really, aren't they? Maybe they're not as good as North. But North didn't want to stay all last year. These guys are all fresh and good. And I think I've gone from one good goalkeeper and a really crap one, who's in my reserves, by the way. No one wants to buy him. To 3 really good goalkeepers, so that's definitely an upgrade. Moving on to left back, same as last year. He ain't going anywhere. The young. He's 30. He's younger than me. French guy. And I think the backup was here last year as well. I've not improved my fullbacks apart from one guy I brought in on loan, which is this fella from Hoffenheim. He's not bad. He's an American. He's 27. He's a backup. Right back is Kaufman, same as last year. 27-year-old German. He's a homegrown player for the club. I couldn't really get an improvement on him. So, Luis Pablo was here last year. He's one of the Brazilians I bought last year. He's now 19. He's now wanted by all the big teams. He's got a massive future ahead of him. And like about 4 or 5 of my Brazilians all want to leave now because they all think they're Billy Big Bollocks. None of them are going to go. Not unless their minimum fee release clauses are matched, which I doubt is going to happen. But we've brought in this fella. And this is one of the guys I was talking about earlier. This is a player who played for NAC Breda, NAC Breda, whatever they're called, who'd been generated, had a 1-year deal, he didn't want to stay. So we went in for him. I think Ajax Feyenoord did as well. He chose us. Probably because we're in Europe, but who cares? I've also got Nagy, Payball, and I think there's a kid I've brought in on loan who's okay, got a bit of promise. But it's them 2 guys, my Brazilian from last year and the Dutch guy from this year. The back 4 for this league is looking fantastic. Moving into the middle, and we've got Valdia, one of my Brazilians from last year. Great player. I'm expecting another big season. We've got Payball, a player that was already here when I took over, who I looked at right now and thought, meh, but he was fantastic last year. This is a guy I brought in from Barcelona on loan. I mean, he's not a wonder kid, but I think he's a great player. Eggert as well. Okay. And don't forget, I'll show you him now. We have this fella who won't show up on that team report because he doesn't actually fit the tactic, even though he plays every game. He's a beast. Best player ever. Again, wanted. Big future. Look at his passing and his technique in this division. He's just amazing. Moving forward, and you can see I've not brought in loads. I've just made a few tweaks, I think, and I think we've done alright, really. I think we're going to look okay. Left winger is, of course, Willian Enrique, one of my Brazilians from last year, who is fantastic. I had to get a backup for him, and I've got this guy from the division below. Freak, he's called. It didn't cost me much, about a couple of million. He's only worth 3.1. He's not that great, but he's a backup. Right wings, same as last year. This is the guy who ended up signing a new contract. So was well happy, 28-year-old Dutchman, and he's going to be backed up by this fella, another Brazilian from last year, who is wanted, who didn't play that much last year. I was going to try and play him a bit more this year. I'm also happy that we've still got Sosa, another player that people want now. He's had that big year in Holland, made a name for himself. Got no greens yet, which is an 18 or above. He's no longer a wonder kid, but he's a great player and he scores goals in his tactic. But I wanted a good backup. My backup was Freya, who is this geezer, who is homegrown, so I want to keep him, but he's not that great. And I thought if Sosa gets injured, we ain't going to win anything with him leading the line. So I've managed to find Ramirez, another Argentinian. He's only 21, great finisher. He's not that quick. Off the ball's okay, composure could be better. But as a backup striker, who didn't cost much, I think he's great. So for Holland, I think we look okay. I think we've got a great chance of repeating the position we got in the league last year, or even going better and winning a cup. Obviously, it depends what everyone else is doing. And of course, The big teams didn't do that well last year, but that doesn't mean they're not going to do well this year. The league's bedding down. They're getting their staff in. They're getting better players in. So let's look at the big three, in my opinion. And the first one's Feyenoord. We're going to have a look at the team and their top 2 players. Their number 1 player is Victor Carneiro, Portuguese, 27 years old. He's just signed this summer. I think he looks pretty good. And on the opposite wing, their second best player is Mikkel Knopper. Dutch, 28, pretty good as well. They've got some good wingers. They've got some really good players. Next we have Ajax, or when I was a kid I used to call them Ajax because of that cleaning liquid we had in England. I don't know if you had it anywhere else. I used to wonder why they'd call themselves after cleaning liquid that my mum used to wipe the kitchen down. So I used to always call them Ajax when I was a kid. Or is it Ajax, I think? Team from Amsterdam. At the minute, apparently, the second biggest team in Holland. Their best player is this chap, Julian Hoge. 26-year-old Argentinian. Bit special, isn't he? He's wanted. I can't see him staying in Holland much longer because he is world class. Can play left and right back fully. Look how good he is. Passing. I'd love him in my team. The next best player is this guy, and again another player that looks pretty good. Someone who won't fit my tactic, but Sam Sabaz. I mean, Holland, to be fair, have got some great players. Older great players. I'm just struggling to find young great players. Talking Holland, I got offered the Holland job this summer. I turned it down, but I'm going to talk about that in a bit more detail in a minute. And according to the game right now, Holland's third biggest team is PSV, and they, of course, their best player, we're not going to look at him again, is my ex-goalkeeper, Patrick Bloody North. Their next best player is Horatio Rutten, another Argentinian. Lots of good Argies in Holland, not just Brazil, it's Argentinians as well, and Germans mainly. But a great winger. And then there's this team who are just ahead of us, according to the bookies. And we're looking at him for one reason in particular. The manager, Zlatan. We've had a few battles. He's been following me about for the last couple of years. But also, you might remember, he was my coach years ago. Now, he was my coach at Salernitana in 2022. 20 years ago, he was my coach, right? Wow. And since then, he's been a manager everywhere. And he's had a million jobs. So don't get... I'm guessing he's gets sacked. But what makes me laugh is he's been at jobs where I've been. So after Salernitana, he left them to become Nuremberg manager. Then he was Frankfurt manager. Then he was Wolfsburg manager. Then he was Schalke manager. Right? I've been at Schalke, remember? Then he was Cologne manager. Then he went to Marseille. I was Marseille manager. Then he's had a stint in America for 3 years. He's been Philadelphia Union manager. And now he's come over to Holland last year. And yeah, we're going head to head again. Now we're here with Holland and you'll see they haven't got a manager. I've turned it down, so they're still looking for one. I also got offered the England and the Portugal job this summer. Because I think it was a World Cup or something. So obviously a lot of managers get sacked after big tournaments. I turned all 3 down because I'm not ready for all that. And I don't like international management. I don't like playing it. It bores me. Like if I do it on its own, I get bored because you've got a holiday a lot. Because there's massive gaps in between games. And if I do it when I'm already a manager, which I can do, gets in the way of me doing what I want to do, and it always seems to affect my club management. So I don't normally do it, but a lot of you keep asking, are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? So I'm going to say this, right? I think FC20 maybe has got a couple of years left in it. And then obviously I'm getting old now, and this save's getting old, right? So I'll have to see what you think, but I'm thinking maybe one more club after FC20. I don't know where. We'll see where the road takes us. And then I'm going to try and maybe finish off the series in 4 years at an international job, going for a World Cup or something like that, an international tournament somewhere, and then end it and then finish the series completely. Let's have a look at our pre-season first. Now, like an idiot, I forgot to uncheck my assistant manager doing it for me. I had him arrange it last year because I had too much to do. I couldn't be bothered. And then this year I wanted to do it because most of the time, once I'm settled, I'll do my own pre-season. And I organised a tour of England, working our way up through difficulty. But then my assistant arranged some. I didn't notice it because I clicked through a lot. So we ended up with loads of games. I couldn't be bothered cancelling it. I thought, you know what, let's leave it. I can rotate a bit and we'll give some guys a game and, you know, get everyone ready. That's my idea behind it. And it was alright. We played a really good team first and got beat. But then we beat one of my old teams, Schalke. Hey? Having that. Some team I've never heard of. Another team I've never heard of. Never. And then we went on our tour of England. So Billericay, then we went to play FC United of Manchester. Then we played one of my old series team, Huddersfield, spanking them 5-1. Sosa hat-trick. And then we played a team that was supposed to be better than us, and we drew with them, which gave me some real confidence. We also got the draw for our group, which, not too bad, is it? Atletico Bilbao, I mean, a club I really like. You can only have Spanish Basque players, which you think would be a bad thing, but they always seem to do well. So they're a good team. AEK Athens from Greece, and Trabzonspor from Turkey. All beatable. And you may have noticed by looking at the top of the screen on the last page, they were top of the league. We have only played 3 games, but we've won all 3. Happy days. Willem 2 in second, Feyenoord, NEC, who, by the way, have just been promoted. And, for some weird reason, were given some of the best freaking players by the computer I have ever seen. Now, they've lost a few, but they've made a fortune. They had some cracking players. I tried to sign them, some of them last year, like really good ones. Because they were all just been generated, they didn't want to leave. This summer they've left for loads of money to some really big teams. But they're obviously still doing okay. They're 4th. Ajax is 6th. I want to show you this chap for one reason, mainly because he's awesome, I think. He's called Pakoko, I think. Pakoko. Whatever. I hate these names. I'm rubbish at it. But he's 24 and he's a Brazilian. He's from Cruzeiro. He's been around for a while, because they've had the Brazilian League running for a while, and he's really coming into his own now. Look how good he is. I've been tracking him for ages, right? And he wanted to sign for me. Brilliant. I had a bid accepted. Awesome. Even had a contract. I was like, oh! And then Real Madrid came in and stole him from me. How good would he have been for us? Eh? This close to having a player. World class. Elite. But I think world class. December the 12th, the group stage has just finished. We're going to have a look at Europe in a minute. But let's crack on with the league first. And you'll see we're no longer top. Although we've got 2 games in hand. If we won, we would go back top. But Ajax are back with a vengeance this year. So Feyenoord and PSV. And I said that. Herenveen won it last year. That's probably the only chance they're ever going to get. Because of the way the league... Because they've only just turned it back on. So it gets things have to come back, don't they? And spaces have to get filled. And it's got to balance itself back out. But the cream always rises to the top. So obviously, I had to play Zlatan, and we drew 1-1. After that, we went on a good run here, winning 2 games, 1-0, and then 5-0. Sosa, I love that kid. I feel like I love him, because I found him, brought him over to Chile, and then I didn't really get to use him too much, and he's come here, and he's really good in this league. Went on a bad run here, losing 3, not winning in 3. Drew with Ajax. If I did live comms on this series, that would have been fantastic. 3-3 there. Beating Sparta. Went on a great run. We haven't been beaten since the Willem 2 game. Beating PSV 1-0. But then look at this. This is the Dutch Cup, basically. We won our first game 4-0, which is fantastic. And then played a team I've never heard of. Oh, beat them 10-0. Bloody hell. When it came to Europe, though, I didn't do as well as I thought. I thought we'd be a little bit better than this. We actually lost 2 and drew 1. And kind of only just scraped it through by a point into second, which means we're going to get a big team in the next round, doesn't it? Or a winner of a group anyway. So I want that happy. But, you know, it is what it is. We beat Bilbao in the first game. And then we beat Athens. So it started well. Then we drew. And lost with the the Turkish team. Then we got beat off Bilbao, and then we beat Athens. So, you know, it is what it is. We threw. It's something to build on, isn't it? Let's have a look at the squad. Arranged by average rating. And my best player is easily Mr. Federico Sosa. 24 goals in 26 games. I mean, half my team's wanted now. It's going to be... As soon as I leave FC20, this team is going to get ripped to pieces. But they're going to be rich. They'll be freaking rich. Just don't know if they're going to be able to replace these players when it comes to the computer doing it. William Reed came a left winger. Look how good he is. He's sexual. He's that good. Ribeiro, the guy in the midfielder, again, another great player, although he's battling it out this year. Battling it out. This fella, though, I love him. Mr. Valdia. I like him a lot. Really do. But when it came to battling it out with Ajax, they got first blood. We drew them in the quarter-final of the Cup, and it was 1-1, and then they beat us on penalties, unfortunately. In a game, I think we were better than them. This is definitely... one of them ones you've missed out on, like just where you knew you should have done better. Now, one positive at this point is that we're top of the league and Ajax have dropped off. But I wasn't happy. And I don't know how the frick at the minute we are doing this. We are trying our best basically to throw it away. And we beat Feyenoord 2-0. Then I think we got beat off Ajax around this time. And then I've not won for 4 games in the league. Drawing 0-0. I've not been able to beat Zlatan both games, which has annoyed the shit out of me. And then we drew with Willem 2, who were good this year. And then we've just drawn with these boys again, 1-1. Well, it kind of helps when Ajax lose 3 games on the bounce. Look at that green. Look at the green and the yellow there. How on earth? How has this happened? Great time for us for it to happen, because if this hadn't have happened, Ajax would have been flying. If they'd have carried this form on, they'd have been flying at the top of the league. But that's why they've gone to 3rd. And then this Willem 2 guys, they've come out of nowhere. So on to the Europa League. And of course, when you come second, you play a team that's won a group. And even in the Europa League, you get big teams. And Chelsea are a big team. They've always got good players on this. They're always a force to be reckoned with on Football Manager. And we won the first leg. 1-0 at home with an own goal. Early doors. But a pretty even game. And I'm thinking, yeah, it's going to be tough away. But we've got something here. I had a good feeling. But then Chelsea took my good feeling, rolled it into a lovely little ball and drop kicked it out the fucking window. 3-0. They were great. They were really, really good, and we were really, really bad. And that's what happens. But, you know, learning curve, innit? I've got a young team, really. And I don't know how much FC20 have been in Europe over the last few years. A lot of these players have never played European football. So, again, it's something similar to my Denton Villa series. If you don't watch that, go and check it out. If you stop watching it, go and watch it again. It's brilliant. You've just missed out on winning an awesome Denton Villa home shirt. I've just given away 6. Anyway, same thing there. I've got a young team, first year in Europe. We've kind of come out early in that, but you can learn from that, build on it, can't you? But this league's competitive. I've enjoyed this. Chile was competitive. This is competitive. Leagues you run away with bore me. I like league, like France if you're Paris Saint-Germain or whatever. I like leagues like this, mate, where these 4, 5, 6 contenders, even the mid-table teams can take points off you. Where if you win the league, you're winning it by 2 points, 3 points. Do you know what I mean? It's way more fun. It really is more fun. You'd think, oh, if I play in the Bundesliga, it's going to be great, more money. Premier League, more money. I've done that for years, but it gets boring very quickly. This is like competition. This gets your passion going for the game. So if you're struggling, if you're still watching me but you're struggling to play, go to a smaller country. Well, we're out of Europe and we are out of the Dutch Cup, and there's 10 games to go in the league, and we've got some big games there. Ajax, PSV definitely, and a couple of other tough ones, and obviously we're only just ahead in the league, so it was going to be a really, really fun running. Here we are, it's the end of the season and we did it, and we also did it quite well. I was happy really. It wasn't as tough as I thought it was going to be. 7 points clear. Willem 2 came second. They came out of nowhere. PSV 3rd. Feyenoord 4th. Ajax in 5th. They really fell off the freaking wagon at the end. Don't know what happened with them. But who cares? Who cares? Because we're Champions League. We're going into the Champions League next year. The running wasn't perfect at all. We dropped a crap ton of points. I really thought we were going to throw it away. But other teams were just taking points off each other as well. That's what I mean. It's so much fun. You're thinking you're doing bad, but then you're still doing well. It's awesome. Didn't lose, but we drew most of them. I drew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 10. Only won 3, and we still won the league by 7 points. I think any good title win is always built from the back on a good defence, and I think we had really, really good defence compared to last year. And it was the best in the league, followed by the team that finished second in the league. So I think that says a lot about having a good defence first. But it came to scoring goals, though, we were kind of lacking a little bit. We were 6th, 13 off the top team. And yeah, it's something. Sosa's a good player, isn't he? But I mean, wingers are good, so I just think maybe I need to look into that a bit more. Because normally, my team score a lot of goals, so I was a bit surprised by this. Definitely the defence won us the title. And this is the final squad arranged by average rating. You'll see there, ignore Van Ginkel, but Sosa, best player in the team. 32 goals, 11 assists. He is the main man, to be fair, with my 2 wingers. So my front 3 are good. They are good, but I want them to do more. they're not old, so they've got years left in them. So maybe I might have to look at the centre and midfield because the defence is good. We've actually made a little bit this year. We made more last year from player sale, I think. I sold that player, didn't I? Who didn't fit my tactic. This year we've made about 8.5 million, which ain't bad. It's not too bad. Got 23 in the bank. I'll probably get a little bit more in the summer. I'm going to be selling a couple of players anyway. Not ones that I want to keep who want to leave. I'm probably going to keep them. So, you know, it's not going to be this big summer of transfers, but it's going to be fun. Let's have a look at who won the other competitions, and this is the Cup. And Zlatan got beat in the final. Not a bad year, Zlatan, to be fair. I couldn't beat him. Well, the team that knocked us out went on to the final. And they played the biggest team in the world, the best team in the world, Manchester United, and got beat on penalties. Eh? Just like the Champions League final in 2008. Now this, I think, says something about the work I do at clubs. And I say this, I always do stuff like I'm going to stay, right? And put foundations in place. Now Schalke have just won the Champions League, beating Paris Saint-Germain in the final, which is great. On penalties, again, like the Europa League final. Now I won it with Schalke, remember, in 2037. They've also won it again in between that. And obviously, you might remember, when I won it, I beat Paris Saint-Germain in the final. They won it a few years later, beating Paris Saint-Germain in the final. And then they've just won it, beating Paris Saint-Germain in the final. Paris Saint-Germain have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 finals in the last few years. Well, there we are. That is the end of episode 23, year 23. In my second year at FC20, we picked ourselves up a lovely silver plate league title. So I'm buzzing with that, buzzing for the club. And I'm excited to see what I can do with this team in the future. So hopefully you enjoyed it enough to smash the like button. Please smash the like button. Just helps me out, doesn't it? Feel free to pledge to my Patreon if you want to help the channel out that little bit more. Keep the channel going. There is a good chance my wife could. Honestly, you've been amazing. I've been Bood. I'll see you next time.